Hey guys, I'm Adam Caesar. This is Project Black T-shirt. I'm here today with author Scott Cole, who's done Super Ghost and Slices out for Black T-shirt books, and we're about to go into a used bookstore and check out all the hard books we can. Say hello, Scott.
Hello, Scott.
Perfect, Gracie. All right, we'll see you in a second. All right, we're back in the studio, as it were. Scott and I went on a little bit of a treasure hunt. We found a couple books. I actually went to a couple more with Adam. So this is a book haul video of a bunch of books that I got from used bookstores in and around the Philadelphia area. I'll put where I went in the description, any pertinent links, all go in the description. But today, since we're focusing on used bookstore finds, I want you to tell me down in the comments and everyone else what your best find of all time at a used bookstore is. Personally, I know back when I was living in Boston, I found a Charles L. Grant anthology, Nightmares, that it would actually be signed and dated by Charles Grant, and it was signed and dated in the year of my birth. So I thought that was kind of cool. I liked having that, and he didn't inscribe it to anyone. He just signed and dated it. So it's better. I don't like own like a paperback that says, "Hey Joey," like none of that. It just says Charles Grant and the date. So these books are going to be in no particular order. They're not books that I've read yet. They're books that I just went out and purchased, so we're not going to really be able to talk about them all that much. Just, I've seen book haul videos on here, and people seem to like them, and I like conspicuous consumerism, so I'm going to just flash up a bunch of books, and we'll talk about it. First off is one of the many anthologies that I picked up, and also one of the only books I think that I already kind of own. I think I have a slightly different edition of this, Prime Evil, edited by Douglas Winter, with a lot of great names there, and on the back, people you recognize, like Stephen King, Clive Barker, Peter Straub, Whitley Strieber, we're going to talk about him in a second, David Morrell, Ramsey Campbell, we got Tess here on the back, Charles Grant, Dennis Etchison, and a Thomas Ligotti story. So, an all-star cast. I believe this actually had a sequel. I believe this had Prime Evil 2, which I think I also have. These are kind of around. They're in the wild. They are the Caterpies of late 1980s horror anthologies, if this were a extended Pokemon metaphor. Well worth picking up. A lot of these stories have been anthologized and collected elsewhere, but that's the same with a lot of anthologies you get. Just like the cover. It's pretty cool. Got that embossed. Ooh. Next is a book I've been looking for a little while. I have a special soft spot for tie-in fiction, for media tie-in books. I feel like some of the first chapter books I read as a kid were media tie-in books. As a kid, I wasn't reading Species, but I did go and see the movie way younger than I should have. Thanks, Dad. A couple years ago, I think either last year or the year before that, my buddy Matt Serafini met the author Yvonne Navarro at Scares That Care, and she had one copy and one copy only of the Species novelization there to sell and sign. I let Matt get that one, but this one I got. It's all mine, and I'm probably going to bring this down to Virginia next year and have Yvonne Navarro sign this, because if you haven't seen this film, it's a masterpiece, and I can't wait to read the book. Next is an author that I haven't read a whole lot of, and what I have read has been his fiction, and I guess we could call something like Transformation or Communion by Whitley Strieber nonfiction, because it is about his encounters with the Greys or aliens, his own kind of abduction or close encounters story. I know kind of a bit about like the lore surrounding these books, but I've never picked one up and read it. And while I was out in the wilds seeing all these books all over, I'm willing to read through, check this out. The guy wrote Wolfen, so gonna give him the benefit of the doubt there. Something I've started looking for recently and recently developed an interest in is YA horror, especially YA horror from my youth. Started with, I personally started around the same time that I was like kind of starting to read big boy fiction. I was inhaling by the book, by the day, the Goosebumps books, the R.L. Stein Goosebumps books. And I've been listening to a podcast called Teen Screams, which is kind of two comedians out in LA. They're like book club take on these Christopher Pike and R.L. Stein novels from their youth, and they read them and they talk about them in a humorous way. And I've been enjoying the podcast, so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try to find some of the R.L. Stein that's not Goosebumps, because I had all those as a kid. I don't really feel like going to rebuy stuff that I already owned at some point in my life. So I've never read the Fear Street books, but boy, are they hard to find, especially around Philadelphia. Maybe in the used bookstores around you guys, they're easier to find. But out of 4 bookstores, I only got 2 R.L. Stein books, and these were the only ones I found. It's not that I passed over other ones. This was it. Broken Date doesn't fit into any of his series. It's the one out of the covers here, it's the one I enjoy more. It's got a little bit of a real 80s feel to it. I think this is 88. That seems to be the year of the day. 88, and then much later, one of the later books in the Fear Street saga, because this is Fear Street Sagas #1, which I think is a prequel to the whole thing. A New Fear, R.L. Stein. Evil Has a Birthright, and you get, in case you didn't know, it was a new series. You get that beautiful untake-offable sticker right there. So thanks, guys. I haven't read R.L. Stein book since I was like 11, and I haven't read a Fear Street book ever. We'll see how far I make it through these lovely paperbacks. I know a little bit about almost every book that I bought. I know nothing about this next book. I know nothing about Naked Came the Sasquatch by John Boston. If you know something about this, please cue me in the comments. But a couple things made me maybe interested in picking this up. First of all, it boasts on the back who the publisher is. It is TSR Books, known for their Dungeons and Dragons tie-ins and the Dragonlance series. So it's a TSR book, and on the back it says, from the publishers of the best-selling Dragonlance and Forgotten Realms novels. I don't know many people that pick up books based on the publisher's past work, especially if it's not in the same genre, but with a title like Naked Came the Sasquatch and a picture of what appear to be wolf eyes, not hominid eyes at all, Michael Fenberg, editor of a small eclectic newspaper, is out to solve a series of grisly killings. He knows that a monster is committing the murders. What he doesn't know is which monster. And whichever one it is, why is the monster so interested in murdering the women whom he finds himself helplessly falling in love? Alright, John Boston's first novel is as hilarious as it is scarifying, not a word, a highly original whodunit that turns into a whatdunit and finally evolves into a which what done it. Okay, so they basically spoil the entire 3-act structure of this novel, but they do let us know that it is a parody of some kind, or somehow a cross-genre novel. But with a name like Naked Came the Sasquatch, how could you not pick that up for $2? Next, I have a few other anthologies in this series, but these are the Isaac Asimov branded Magical Worlds of Fantasy series. This one is number 8. Which is Devils. The subject is Devils. I think the other one I have is Ghosts, which has a similarly cool cover and a similar design for the font and the layout there. Great names here, including Philip Jose Farmer, Rick Howelta, Arthur Clarke, Ray Russell, Colonel Woolrich, Theodore Sturgeon, Charles Beaumont. So when you think Devils, they got you covered with all the devil-y, Twilight Zone-y authors you can handle in Isaac Asimov's Magical Worlds of Fantasy, Devils. This is edited by Asimov, Martin H. Greenberg, and Charles G. Waugh. The only hardcover in the haul, the only hardcover in this trip to 4 different used bookstores, Midnight Graffiti, in rather great condition. The dust jacket on this looks awesome. This was a Warner Books collection. Stephen King, Harlan Ellis, and Dan Simmons, David J. Scow, Nancy Collins. This is edited by Jessica Horsting and James Van Hiss. I hope I'm pronouncing those right. Interesting about this, it also includes Neil Gaiman's story. This is pre-Neil Gaiman kind of rating on the top there. So he's kind of in many others. Got a great, very 80s, very kind of post-splatterpunk, big publishing version of splatterpunk introduction here. Really puts you in the mood. And then everything is kind of sectioned up into different thematic areas. So you have It Came From Beyond, Apocalypso, Graffiti, Psychos, and Hell, you say. This is something I had talked about Scott a little bit about the publishing history of this, and he was kind of excited for me to grab it because it is one of the better known collections of the 80s, and there's a Lansdale story in here too, so you gotta love Joe Lansdale. That's it for the haul. Here's the whole thing stacked up in a Wimpy Burger style stack of horror fiction. If you'd like more information about me, my books, or if you like my books and you want to get your own snazzy exponential t-shirt designed by Chris Enterline. There are links in the description and there are links on my website. If you want to check out Scott Cole, that's the guy who was with me right at the very beginning. If you want to check out his books, his new book Slices is a collection of super short surrealist horror stories that I helped put out through Black T-Shirt Books. You're going to love it, and you're going to love Scott Cole if you haven't read him. So I highly, 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 highly recommend you check that out. So tell me in the comments what your favorite used bookstore finds are. Tell me where I can find used books in my area. Tell me where I could find them in your area if I'm gonna get in the car and head out there. If you really like this video, please hit like. If you want to check out other videos like it, other top 10 book lists, other movie reviews and book reviews and movie recommendations and book recommendations, because they're always kind of combined on my channel, check them out and please subscribe. Thanks so much. Have a great day.